Okay, Nick, let it roll.
Hi, this is Nick, the commentator, and I'd like to welcome you to SmackTalk RC podcast with my boys, Bert Cameron and Bobby Watts.
You're going to eat like a pig tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. Fogo de Chao, baby.
Have you been there?
I've not been there, but I've had it before.
We'll talk about this in the podcast.
And we're live. Welcome to SmackTalk RC podcast, episode number 3. How you doing,
Welcome, everybody.
My name is Bobby Watts.
My name is Bert Cameron.
And we are here with a very special guest from across the pond.
Across the pond. He
Yes.
comes all the way from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. I almost said Pacific.
Welcome,
Atlantic
everybody.
Ocean.
Welcome, everybody, to Mr. Nick Johnson.
Mr. Nick Johnson.
Hello.
Dude, you
Yeah,
first
the
and foremost,
commentator.
you have the best radio voice.
Give us a little sample
Give us
of
a little bit.
Your radio voice.
Let's
I want to hear it.
Let's hear it. Come on.
No.
Come on, do it.
What radio station are we listening to?
Yeah. Come on, do it. Just
Come
like
on.
you did it before.
There was a few idents that I used to do back in the day. Do you want me to do
Yeah,
one?
yeah, do it.
Oh, okay. It's kind of under pressure now. All right, okay. On 96.4 FM, this is BRB, music, pow, or some words like that. Stupid shit like that.
How you doing, man?
Tired now.
Tired.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend, hasn't it?
Yeah. So we're here. It's after the Orlando heli blowout. We had a blast, and Nick came to be the official commentator. And man, I had fun.
We did.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You like your Mavic, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that thing is the coolest. I have the DJI Mavic.
Can I say
little drone.
badass over there?
Badass.
Yeah,
you
you
can
can.
see and say whatever.
So
you want.
anyway, it's good to have you,
awesome.
Nick.
Thanks for being on. It's been great.
And you know it's been a pleasure to have you. Not only it's not only good to have you at to do the podcast, but it's also a pleasure to have you here at the OHB. And this is what, your third or fourth?
I think this is my fourth, isn't it?
Fourth year at the blowout.
It's
I
been a
don't
while.
remember,
I
but
just have to say, like walking around and you just listen to him in the background, it fits.
oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it
absolutely.
fits.
It's just it's an
feels
iconic
natural.
thing. It's like
It feels natural.
You can't have the blowout without Nick Johnson anymore.
Oh, bless you.
Exactly.
It really is. I really mean it.
thank
Yeah,
you.
we
Bottom
love
of my
having
heart.
you,
I
man.
really
We
mean
love
it.
having you.
Do you know what? I mean, I've been around helicopters for, I suppose about 8 or 9 years, I suppose, and kind of doing this for about 6. But I grew up when I first started with helicopters, watching videos on YouTube. You know, watching you guys especially, and Sabo, and Curtis, Danny, and all those sort of guys. And I watched videos of the blowout, and I saw people, and it's like what Urcha as well. You know, like when I went to Urcha for the first time, it was just sort of standing on hallowed ground. It was just so humbling. And when I came here to the blowout, it was just something like legendary. You know, because obviously over the pond, we get to see really very small, percentage of what goes on over here.
You have pretty big events.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, the US shows, there's something about them that's like super cool. And if you ask any of the pilots from the UK and Europe, it's kind of on their bucket list to get out to the blowout and to Urcha. And I'm very lucky to be able to, say that I've been to those shows, not just been to them and enjoyed them, but sort of being part of the team that puts on the show, and it's a really good event, and very privileged to sort of be asked to come back. So
Dude,
thanks.
that's awesome. So how long have you been doing this announcing gig? Because you're becoming the voice of RC Heli events now. How long have you been doing this for announcing?
6 years.
Really?
So let's take it back even a little bit further.
Jumping ahead of ourselves.
Tell us a little bit. Yeah. So for all of you guys that don't know Nick Johnson, you've been living under a tree if you don't know who he is. But Nick Johnson,
The saying is living under a rock here in America.
living under a tree. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean. But anyway,
Maybe in Venezuela.
maybe in Germany. Anyway, Nick, Nick Johnson is known as the commentator. In fact, he has a microphone that has the commentator written on it.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty cool. We
It's a microphone flag. It's only a microphone flag from eBay.
We're gonna put a picture for the show post there.
Okay.
But anyway, for all of you guys that don't know Nick started commentating in events around Europe, and within a matter of a couple of events, he became basically the iconic figure, the guy to commentate around events. And soon after that, come on, let me stroke your ego, because this is all true. In a short period of time, he became the worldwide commentator, because now he's doing Urcha, he's doing OHB.
Oh, yeah.
So, what got you not just into commentating, but how did you get into the hobby? Let's start with the beginnings of your hobby experience.
Right back to the beginnings.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well,
Do you fly, first of all? Do
Came
you even
out of the
fly?
womb.
Can you fly?
yeah, I absolutely, of course, I fly. Yeah, I mean, I first started flying, and I was 12 years old. My dad used to fly Cessna 182s. When we were
That's not RC.
No, my dad used to fly. My dad
Just
used
let
to
him
fly.
talk. Let him talk.
And I wanted to get. I saw my dad fly, and I got a bug for. I wanted to fly. So my dream was to become a pilot and do nightclubs in Miami and fly people around the Keys as my full-time job. That was from an early age. That's what I wanted to do, right?
Nice.
And I kind of started on that career. That's what I wanted to do. But I realized from an early age I needed to get some sort of aviation experience. So I decided to start flying RC planes. And the only place where I could fly was 45 minutes from my house. Obviously, I didn't drive, so I had to rely on my parents. So it's the whole kind of convincing the parents to get involved with the sport, to a hobby, but they didn't. They just said, okay, we'll take you to the field, but after that, we'll come collect you in 6 hours.
Yeah, sure.
Dark comes, and I'm still standing there waiting for my parents to kind of
Really?
pick me up. Yeah.
They weren't supportive.
No,
Not so much.
Not really.
That sucks.
Not really. No. So I had to do it all on my own. And of course, when I started to drive at 17, then I was doing flying all the time. But back in those days, the helicopters, they sucked.
Yeah.
They were rubbish. They did nothing.
This
So this is like 90s?
This is true.
90s?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, they were
90s.
just
In the
literally.
And they were very hard to fly.
Very. Excuse me. I'm just
belching.
I'm just having a bit of gas.
Yes.
I'm just drinking this Crown and Coke, and I've emptied it now.
You've emptied it,
He's
we're like
sipping on his
we're like
cocktail.
6 minutes
His
in, and he emptied
cocktail's,
it.
his cocktail's dry. We're gonna have to pause.
Well, he
Yeah.
does weigh 25 stone.
Yeah,
No, I
whatever
don't.
that means.
I'm lying.
Okay, keep going, Nick.
Stones.
Sorry, we interrupted you.
So yeah. I mean, so I carried on flying for years on my own, and obviously I joined the club and I became sort of an instructor at my club.
Give us an example of like one of the planes you had back in the day.
Oh man, I had a Precedent Highboy. I mean, that was the one that I learnt on, and then I went to, you don't know if you have those over here, but it's a standard 40 size trainer, right?
Okay.
So then I jumped from that to a Cambrian Spitfire, which was probably the bad thing to do, and then I went for a scratch built. I bought this scratch built biplane. It was a Bucky Youngmeister, and that had got a 60cc engine in it, and I just completely went berserk with it. But I loved it, and I flew that thing so much. I've had so many planes over the years.
So your first helicopter, when?
Right, first helicopter. My brother lived in Hong Kong. Lived there for almost 20 years, and we only went over there a couple of times. But I remember just after my son was born, we had a chance to go over and spend 3 weeks with him. So we went over there, and there's a place there called Mongkok, right? Mongkok.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it's this sort of, if you can imagine like a long road, maybe half a mile so long, right?
Sure.
Imagine the length of Virtue's flight line.
Okay.
Like that. And there's literally model shops either side, all the way down. Literally, right?
Wow.
So I spent the day just troweling up and down these shops. And I bought a helicopter, and it was a Colco Llama.
Oh, right.
And of course, over in there, I'm mode 1. Over in Hong Kong, most of them are mode 1.
Right.
So it was a perfect fit. And I remember spending pretty much the entire 3 weeks learning how to fly this Colco Llama with a fistful of batteries that I bought. And we were supposed to be on this holiday, this expensive holiday to Hong Kong.
Right.
And there was me in the backyard always flying this goddamn helicopter, which my family were not too sort of pleased about. And that's what really got me the bug. I loved, I was just like, right, that's it. I'm throwing myself into this.
Sure.
So when I got back, I had some more of the sort of throwaway helicopters. And then I took the plunge, and I had a Raptor 50, and I loved that thing, right?
Nice.
I had the Formula One canopy all over it. I sprayed it all up.
Wow.
I upgraded
Decked
the
it
motor.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I pimped this thing up, right? And it was fantastic. It was the first inverted helicopter that I could, helicopter I could invert, and first sort of full 3D helicopter. So that was the bug. And then, crikey! And then that was
Crikey. You're not from Kansas.
So you've been flying helicopters ever since?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I've been flying helis, and how it started with the talking stuff is because I did obviously a lot of voiceovers and radio comms and stuff, commercials and what have you.
Yeah.
And the guy who ran 3D Masters, Jeff Barringer.
Yep.
I phoned him up one day, and I was having a chat with him I was asking some questions, and I was kind of.
This is back in the day when, for the listeners that don't know, this is back in the day when 3D Masters was in Northampton or
no, this was I started.
This was in Venlo.
Yeah, I first went to the 3D Masters. I was supposed to go in 2010, but work commitments couldn't allow it. So then on 2011, I got chatting with Jeff, and he heard obviously you were asking about your voice and all that sort of stuff. What have you done? And I sent you some stuff, and he said we actually might need you. He said because we got the Nightfly, the Colin Lucas, the guy who was doing the.
Yeah, that's right, Colin.
Yeah,
Colin was that's a well-known voice as well.
Colin was again for the listeners, the guy that used to do, excuse me, the 3D Masters in England announcing.
Yeah,
and God bless him. I mean, everybody liked him, but he was completely different style from Nick.
Yes,
he was a more.
I remember he'd separate the whole flight line
Let's hear
into
it
ones
for
and
the
two.
ones.
Yeah, into 3 sections. Give it up for my ones and my twos and the
Let's hear
threes.
it for the ones and the Frances.
And he always had these little taglines that were just hysterical. I mean, I went over there the first time to compete for 3D Masters. I'm like, what? It's not a big deal on the mic, that's for sure. So,
But when I met Nick, it probably was the first year that you did 3D Masters in Venlo, Netherlands.
Well, how it worked was we Colin Lucas didn't like doing the night flying. Okay,
right.
And then he
talked all day. So
yeah, exactly. And do we know how that how difficult that is? But come to the night flying, it was sort of he doesn't really want to do it, and it was also a little bit of a sideshow. There wasn't really much emphasis around the night flying. It was just kind of it's getting dark. What the hell do we do now? Let's just strap some glue sticks to it.
To me, the night competition and the synchro were sort of like
that's right, we did that.
Yeah, they were the bastard childs. They weren't really.
In 2011, we won that.
That's
right.
And
then I won the Nightfly. That was good. That was a good year. Not like yesterday,
but I think when I met Nick was in 2010. It could have been. I might be wrong, but I met you the year that we had 3D Masters in the Venlo facility in the Netherlands, and. I believe that was the first year that you announced the Nightfly, and I think Timo won it. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, I mean that was awesome. No, you slightly confusing the little dates there. He won the
year after.
Yeah, first time I did the Nightfly was 2011 at 3D Masters when Colin didn't want to do it and Colin went home.
Right,
and it was. After that night flying, that it was just brilliant because what I did, I thought, well, if I'm going to get the opportunity to do this. Right, I want to do it like nobody else has done it. I want to do my own style. I want to do it and sort of kind of jack it up a little bit and make it a bit more upbeat and a bit more exciting. Yes. So I did loads of prep for it, and I got one of those spray booth suits. Those white like latex spray booths, and I cut loads of holes in it and put glow sticks on it and zip tied all of the glow sticks right the way around the bodysuit. And I thought, shit, I'm going to wear that. That would be real cool and just do something really goofy and mad, And the night flying was you obviously yourself were flying there, Bobby and Raquel, and there was Joe Kalbach. I mean, I remember all the names. In fact, Raquel was the first ever commentating flight that I did.
Okay,
that's symbolic for me, and I remember the music she flew to.
Wow.
Every time I hear it, sometimes occasionally it comes on the radio, and you're like, oh, blimey, I remember that throwback. But yeah, so after that, the next day at the show, people were coming up to me and saying, "You were the guy last night." Our friends said, "Well, we never heard the crowd whipped up like that before." I said, "Yeah, we had a great time." Oh yeah, rah, 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 rah. And then I enjoyed the rest of the show. And then the next year, right, well, sort of, I don't know, earlier part of the year, I got a call from Jeff. We want you to come back. We want you to do more for us. We want you to do the flight line director role, and we want you to do demos.
Step up.
We've had the sponsors who say they want you to do their demos.
Okay, so
I'm like,
so
cool,
that would have been the year when Timo won it.
No, that was 2000. 2012 was the year after when I did like more demo stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the year after, which was 2013, that was the first time with Heli Masters at Venlo, the same venue.
Heli Master.
Heli Masters, yeah. And then obviously that was the year that me and you spent the time on the couch, and Timo won the Nightfly.
Yeah, but that
we
was-
did the Nightfly
Well, yeah, because you guys went away,
Absolutely,
and then they
but-
said, "Hey, we need someone on the mic."
That's it,
So
yeah.
then I just picked up a mic and started talking
do you-
shit,
do you know
and then
what-
you showed up, and then we just did it. Yeah.
Do you know what happened to that?
Cool.
We were out grabbing dinner because we were working on that couch all day, and we were cooking like sons of bitches. Right? We were
But
literally.
I was confused then, Nick, because then I met you way before that. I'm
well, we
just
met at
confusing
Heli 3D Masters.
Nick, what
Yeah,
was
the
Bert
original,
really
yeah,
like
yeah.
when you first met him? What was your first impression of Bert when you met him in person?
Who the fuck is this guy?
Do you know? Seriously, do you know?
No,
what-
seriously, what's the first impression?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to share something with you now that I've never shared.
Oh my
Oh, no,
god!
this is
Here
good.
we go.
I look forward to
Why
this.
is it that you always do that to me? I need
Because
to do
just
it to
listen.
you.
Shh.
You're gonna check,
I'm gonna mute your mic. I'm gonna
it was
mute your
just,
mic.
It was
Just
just one of those moments. Now, bearing in mind that I've watched you guys right on these videos, and I've become like a magnificent obsession for me, helicopters, and I really wanted to dive into it. So I wanted
Right.
to get to know everything and everyone about it. Because if I was going to do any more of this sort of commentating lark, I was like, well, I've got to get familiar. You know, I've got to really sort of gen up and get on the board with this.
Right.
And obviously seeing you guys watching, and I was at the Van der Valk Hotel in the
This
Netherlands.
is- Let me interrupt you.
Oh,
hold the
God,
thought.
here he
Hold
is
the thought.
again.
No, hold the thought.
Is it
the
drinks
guy
time?
tell the
Yes,
story.
no, it was at the Van der Valk because we all used to stay there, and it was at the bar.
Yep.
And that's when I've seen you before. We shook hands, we met each other. But that was the first time when we actually spent time together
Yes.
and talked. And
All right, let's hear Nick's
kinda-
side. Let's
yeah,
hear
yeah.
Nick's side. Hold on.
Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
The funny part about it was when I was standing at the reception and I saw you two guys.
Were we together?
Yes,
And Bobby
That's
was
adorable.
Bobby. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bobby was being a snob, and he probably went to his room. Goodbye, see ya.
You're
full of
his
shit.
girlfriend
Let me
at the
tell you
time.
You're so
Yeah,
full
come
of
on,
shit.
say it. Come on, do it.
No, you didn't have a girlfriend at the time.
The
I don't think.
ex-girlfriend. The
No,
ex.
that was before. That was before her. I think. Anyway, all right, okay. So anyway, so you guys, right? You guys are getting your shit out of the back of the car, right? And I walked up to you and I said, "Hi guys, I'm Nick," and you went, "Hey man, how you doing?" I mean, you didn't know me. You're just like, "Hello," he was just a fan. Like, just get rid of him. And then I said, "Hello to Bobby." I said, "Hello to Bobby," and he shook my hand and he turned his back on me. I was like, "You bastard!" Who's
Yeah, he did.
Damn,
He
what
was
a
better
dick.
than that. He's always like that.
What
though.
a dick.
That's his attitude.
This guy's a dick.
He's politically correct all the time.
I was going to say, "Do that again, boy." I'll whoop
I did
your
shake
ass.
your hand though.
I think you did, but you blanked me, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
He had his ex-girlfriend at the time. Yeah.
The ex-girlfriend. Well,
Yes.
ex, obviously.
The new girlfriend is awesome. I love her to death.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
ex-girlfriend,
too.
no comment. She was okay. Yeah.
She would have given you a hug.
She would have given you.
So come give me a hug.
No. The new one, I mean. She would have been like, oh, you're a nice
No, the
guy.
new
Like,
one,
oh,
the new
nice
one
to
is
see you.
freaking
Nice to see you.
awesome. I love her
Oh,
to
I
death. She's
love her to
badass.
death.
She's a keeper.
The old one was like,
Well, see,
she was okay.
Well, see, no. Here's how it is. Here's how it is when we're at those events like that, like all day long. We're like we're the lowest level celebrity you can get, but at that one place, at that one speck in time. Everyone,
back in the day.
Yeah,
Not
everyone.
anymore.
No one gives a shit anymore.
Nobody gives
but
a shit
everybody
anymore.
all day they come
I
up.
disagree with that.
No, but everybody.
dude, nobody gives a.
But
freaking
everybody
shit.
comes
You're
up to you
wrong.
all
You're
day.
wrong.
Everybody comes up to you all day. Hey, nice to meet you. And we just said hi. I'm sure we were pleasant when we said hi. Hey, how's it
Back
going?
in the day-
and I wouldn't have known
Yeah.
if you were on the mic or not
course.
on the mic. So
Of
we
course.
just say hi. And if you would have asked a question or sure. The first time I met Bert, you ready for this one? This is fun.
I'm just fucking with you. It's
The
just one
first
of them.
the first time I met Bert it was 2005
Shut the fuck up.
at Clint Aiken's birthday bash, and I remember he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, like I was flying someone else's T-Rex 450, and you had your khaki pressed pants and your nice button-up shirt, and you're like, hey, can you help me with my T-Rex?" And I'm like, sure, no problem at all. So I helped him, and
I had
we
khaki
flew
press pants.
You had khaki, like pressed khaki pants.
What,
Yeah,
with
that
the
was
line
it.
down the
Oh
crease?
yeah.
Oh, you
'Cause,
didn't do
dude,
that, did
he
you?
was a
And a
loaded
button-
businessman.
and a button-up shirt.
He was a loaded businessman.
I was a
back
businessman.
then.
Back in the day. Now I'm a
and then
broke.
we got him, and he's
now
like,
I'm a broke freaking.
and he's like, "Hey man, can you help me set up my 450? Like, thanks, nice flying this weekend." I'm like, "Thank you." Like, I'd been doing it for like a year, and then he got into it. Yeah, it's funny. But anywho, so good, funny first memories. I remember you commentating to the first time I heard you commentate, and I was flying. I had this is funny. I had the Crazy Frog song in my flight or something like that, and there was a really big build up in it, and right when it gets like 1, 2, 3, 4, I cut the song into something completely different, and I like did something the song was supposed to explode, but I like stopped it or something just to get an effect. And you're like, come on, crowd, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes like silent. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude.
No, that does happen sometimes.
Yes, it does.
'Cause it's that the DJ thing comes out of me, when you hear the music, when the beat's about to drop, you're like, and if the beat drops and they're just about to pull it into some sort of like mental pyro flip and something, the crowd really react to that,
Right.
And I was just like, let's go, 1, 2, 3, 4, back. Oh,
right.
Dead.
So getting to the DJ thing. So in not helicopters, what do you do? Explain, because you have a really cool job. I think it's cool. Can you tell us?
Wow. Your real life job. Yeah.
You can tell us.
I'm a pimp.
Yeah. Not in England.
Can I get another Crown and Coke?
Okay, we'll pause it.
Now, hold on.
a cigarette in here?
No, we can't smoke a cigarette.
Hold on.
You really can't tell us.
Before we talk about that, we can talk about that for a little bit. No?
No, I can
say
say it's all right.
No, listen. So, to what events have you been to as a commentator? Just a couple. I know, obviously, you're the voice for Urcha in the last couple, 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. You're the voice for OHB for the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know. You do Weston Park, which is the biggest event in the UK.
It's the second biggest, actually. The biggest one is a thing called Wings and Wheels down near.
Fuck that! Nobody gives a shit about
that. No, just kidding. We love you guys. We love everybody.
No, I'm just saying, like, how many events in total? Really? I mean, you're doing a lot of key events, right?
It's getting hard now because my work is taking my real work, I suppose, is taking more time up, and obviously, with the family and other commitments, it's not always possible to do all of the events that everybody, that I'm asked to do, because it's just sometimes not practical, and you have to, what it's like. It's a balance, isn't it? You've got to have that blend. And at the end of the day as well, it's not a full-time job for me, is it? So it's
just
something that I do because
it's not even half-time. It's just a little thing you do for fun because you love the hobby.
I do love the hobby, and I want it to succeed, and I want it to be part of the, I want to be part of the movement. I want to be part of keep RC Helis alive.
Hashtag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put it there, brother. That's right. And you know what? It's your movement that you've created there has suddenly just touched a nerve with people, and it's stimulated people back into like, hang on, whoa! If I don't get involved with this, what I love, it's going to get lost, and it makes people think that it's something worth saving. And we take for granted, because it is a hobby. People do take for granted it's always going to be here. Yeah. There's always going to be big events put on. There's always going to be lots going. But if we all don't take a percentage of responsibility for this, nobody will have the incentive to put on these shows anymore. And then ultimately it will be its ultimate.
It's funny. We're talking to we had our last show a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, with George Van Gansen, and we were talking about that. About trying to support the hobby, supporting the people that are putting out the products, the people that are creating the innovation, the people that are standing behind their products and looking out for the hobby itself. And people take it for granted. They think, we'll be able to fly anytime we want. No. Yep. We need to support it. We need to support the companies behind it, the people behind it, the people that are putting these events like OHB and Urcha and the events in Europe like Weston Park and like Alpine Heli SmackDown and Rotor Live and all these events. We got to support this stuff.
We do, and it's not just about for you guys who are financially involved in the industry. What from a slightly outsider's point of view, bearing in mind I've always forever been involved in this hobby, and I've never been a sponsorship pilot with fixed wing or RC helicopters, right? And it's something that I've always funded. And I know in the early days that's how you both got into it, like everybody else does. And those who are lucky enough and talented enough may get spotted, may get headhunted, and kind of go down that road. Right. But for the ones who come out and just go fly every day, it's something that they need to do to keep it's those people, the ones who pay for the stuff, like list price. It's the ones who are full on fans, right? Ones who really want to be involved in this hobby and will do anything to further their career, further their skill base and want to learn new things, or want to stand in a field for weekends on end, watching you top guys fly and taking inspiration from that. In fact, I actually did an interview with a guy yesterday here at the Blowout, and I've recorded it on my phone. And this guy comes from Miami, right? He's a wealthy guy, you can tell. He's got 25 helicopters, right? 25.
moly.
Only 25.
And they all fly?
They're all flyable helicopters, right? All ready to fly. And he was telling me, and I'm going to actually post the video. We were listening to it last night at the bar, and it was really inspiring to hear somebody who just loves being at events like this around, in his words, his idols.
Wow.
He rates everybody, all of the people he named off, you two included.
Bert's one on the top of his list.
Yeah, alphabetically,
Bobby is
obviously.
on the top.
No.
Actually, Bobby and I
Bobby
are
is
freaking thing of the past.
Shut up. Don't say. What do you say that for? How can you say that? You were
Hashtag keep Bert and Bobby alive.
you douchebags.
Keep SmackTalk alive.
Please.
No, but you know what? SmackTalk is old.
We started in 2010.
It's old.
Yeah.
For hobby
6 years.
standards, things,
6 years is pretty.
2 or 3 years is too long.
Yeah,
for the
boys,
hobby.
but the thing is, it's not about how old it is. Remember, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And with Smack Talk, it has evolved. And if you don't evaporate, if you don't innovate, you evaporate. And with your show, you've done lots of different things, different variations of what
We've tried.
needs to be done.
Some are good, some suck.
Well, you haven't got a production company behind you. You haven't got sort of, endless budgets to start.
No, of course not. No.
You've done it because you wanted to do it, and the contents of the videos you guys have done have been well and truly appreciated through, and whatever bullshit you guys come up, no, it's not. But you guys have been instrumental in many, many people's careers and passions with this hobby.
Thank you.
Well, in terms
Thank
of
you.
technical and help and support and guidance, the people do rave about your early Smack Talk videos, and that's your accolade. You've done that. But just going back
Thank
to the
you.
Heli Masters, right?
Thank
so
you.
Heli Masters is what I did.
Heli
right?
Masters.
So Heli Masters, right? 3D Masters.
The Moss.
The Moss.
Masters. Luke, I am your father.
How about Optimus?
I am. No, I can't do that.
Come on, do it.
No, need more.
Do it.
Need more rum and coke.
Come on. It's not going to say the words itself. Come on.
I am Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. Get ready to roll out, or something like that.
Dude, that's awesome. Okay, so back to it.
The boy's pheromone levels suggest he wants to mate with the female.
Okay, so back to the Heli Masters.
So Heli Masters, so I got involved with that, and then obviously the next day I was introduced to all of these different people. These like Sylvain Ray from France, got really good friends with the Bossians and all the French guys. And then literally, it seemed like within a week of Heli Masters, right, my Facebook just went crazy.
Wow.
Just like friend. And I was like, oh my God, look what I never
blew up.
yeah. I mean,
That's so cool.
When I was in nightclubs, when I was sort of DJing in nightclubs, there was no Facebook then, there was no internet really. And so I finished sort of back in 2002-03.
Right.
So there wasn't really sort of that way to promote yourself, really.
Right.
But obviously since Facebook, so the Heli Masters went on, 3D Masters, sorry. So all of this these people sort of coming up to me and sort of saying, we had a great time, it was brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And then the next year I did more demos. And then obviously that thing happened with 3D Masters.
Right.
3D Masters then up in smoke for a short time. And then Christoph, the guys from Heli Masters, they took over the site. They wanted me to just do it straight away. And that was the time, obviously, that, Bert got involved on the couch. And, man, seriously,
Live streaming.
Well,
They were live streaming. That was
when
yours
was that
too.
on the couch? That was
yours
France.
too.
No.
No. That was Heli Masters.
That was Venlo.
That was
yeah.
Heli Masters
that was
13.
Venlo, yeah.
That was Heli Masters. That was the first year.
Well, I did that. That was fun. I
Mate,
really enjoyed that. That was awesome.
We had
a good
so
time.
many comments, right? Honestly, we had so many comments both on the live stream and Facebook, and people just from a commentator's point of view, right? It's so difficult to number one, not annoy people. Number two, to not talk too much, and number three, to say things that that people will find hopefully interesting. Okay. But it's really good to have somebody to bounce off.
Off of, right?
Somebody who's not got your style, but got their own style. So you can feed off them and they can feed off you. When there's the trust between you, where you know you're not trying to sort of just compare dick sizes. Like, so I've worked, I've worked at some events.
We had a really good chemistry going
we did,
on.
absolutely.
I think we really had a good time.
We enjoyed it. I've worked at some events where I've worked at some shows and some events previously where people just want to kind of overpower you, right? And just sort of make them sound better than you. And it's almost this like sort of competition between you. And I don't like that. I can't handle that.
Yeah, that sucks. You're trying to get the last word in all the time.
And it's like, just give you the rest, you know. But when Bert and I got together, we became good friends through that. And the mutual respect was built from that.
Right.
And then the following year, you obviously tied up with SAB. So you couldn't spend as much time on the couch with us as on 14 as we did. But it was still such a great combination.
We did a little bit of... Just not much, but I came and hung with you in France, south of France.
Yeah,
we did some stuff there on the couch together too. It wasn't like really a
we did. That's right.
We did some stuff together on the couch. Yeah, hey, I'm really secure about my masculinity, so I have no problems with that. We spent time on the couch.
It was a small couch.
It was a very small couch, and we spent time together on the couch, and we had a really good time.
And wasn't it hot? I mean, crikey!
Did you have a good time? Did you have a good time on the couch?
So, Nick, when you were,
do you know for that we had the live stream there in the hills of France in the Domaine du Planet. It was about 40 miles from Monaco.
It was 50 miles from everywhere. Yeah,
exactly. Right at the mountain.
Yeah.
So we had that huge outside broadcast team come in and do the live stream.
Yeah.
Do you know we had 70,000 people?
Yeah.
I saw the Google Analytics, right, for the live stream. Over 70,000 people watched or tuned in.
Badass
for that event. Dude, and we saw some brilliant flying. But that was before Facebook Live, and you know the technology moves really quick, doesn't it? So there's 3D cups. So I've done loads. I mean, you did
a ton of them. So when you started announcing, so you got the Nightfly gig, and then did you? I'm really curious because before you, the only person to ever get on a mic and kill it was Big D. God bless, God rest his soul. He passed away, and he without a doubt made the game. He created it. You know, it's like the Howard Stern of freaking announcing of radio, right?
Yeah.
So. Did you watch his stuff so when you're sitting there watching a demo from whoever back years in mid 2000s flying, would you listen to like what Big D was saying, like pick up on style and be like, this works with the crowd? Like, I'm really curious about that.
Oh, absolutely, lads, because you know, D to me was an inspiration. I mean, I've been thinking about it since he passed away. I was really deeply saddened by that because. We didn't know each other personally. I mean, we only ever met each other at shows, and it was very fleeting. We didn't have much chance to sort of hang out. Yeah. He was always busy with Heli Direct, and then he was either tired, and he was one of those. He's quite aloof to kind of get any time with him and sit down with him.
Yeah.
But the time we did sit down and have a chat, we were best about it. You know, we had a lot of professional respect. I think for each other. Yeah.
Very kind and giving guy.
I think so. I mean,
very uplifting guy too. Always good attitude. You know what I mean? So
that's all I could. Those are the opinions I had of him, having listened to videos and on all the videos around. Now his style, it was very similar to mine. You know, I would like try and pump the crowd up because if I was in the crowd. That's kind of what I would want to hear. That's what I would want from the announcer. So yeah, I mean, his style was my style was influenced by his style. And when I first met him, again, it was like, oh God, I'm meeting Big D, you know. And it's like, wow, this guy who I've been watching hundreds of videos, and he was on the commentating. But at the same time, throughout my career, you know, you take inspiration from other people, but the worst thing you can do is copy them, because I know flattery is, you know, it's good to flatter people, but you've got to have your own. Yeah, you've got to.
And you know, it's funny because
you say, oh, that's just a white D, you know, and it's like that's no respect for him. Well, that's no respect for me.
It's kind of interesting that you say that, because I don't know if it was today or last night. I think it was last night during the night flying. You made a comment about how difficult it is to get the crowd going during a flight, because there's so much you can say. during a flight, right? And that's you made a comment on that, and it made me think about it. You want to talk a little bit about that? You remember you made a comment about that? Like, how much can you say during a flight? I mean, there's really nothing much to say, you know?
Well, this is the thing, right? Okay, now, so when I first started watching videos, right, doing a I don't know, a nose down
wall. There was always a nose down wall. Here he comes. Nose down wall. Nose down wall.
Yeah. If you're doing something like that, or for sort of a funnel, or a gentle pyro flip, or a blade stomp, it was just wow. Back in the day, it didn't take much for people to kind of get really pumped up and excited about it. But because we've become almost desensitized by the skill of the pilots, to get the pilots to fly harder and faster and enjoy it more, they've got to hear the crowd. So we've got to try and get the crowd to a peak, to a level. But you can't start screaming at the crowd. You may do it once or twice at the right moment, but you can't do it all the time, because people will just get pissed off and just turn off. I've always been of the sort, if you've not got anything good to say, kind of don't say anything really. But there's only so much you can talk about. Watching an RC heli fly. Otherwise, you don't want to take anything away from the sound of the helicopter or the performance of the pilot. And your voice obviously can drown out. So I'm very conscious of that at the same time. But I'm also conscious that the pilots need to hear the support in order for them to feel connected
and it helps.
with the
It does
crowd.
help as a pilot, absolutely.
I know, I've spoken to the pilots. I mean, I also took steers from other commentators that I saw who tend to sort of berate the pilots, insult the pilots almost to get them to
like
crash.
That's not low, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, what are you doing, you scumbag? You can do more than that. Come on, you badass. Oh, he's crashed. Don't crash, don't crash, don't, what do you think you are?
That's true. I never thought about that. It's always positive. It's got to be.
I have to be.
Yeah,
I want
to
be.
And it gets tiring to listen to
even
if
it
not.
freaking sucks. It still has to be positive.
Right.
You've got to, because these are mostly young lads, and with the power of the microphone.
Young lads.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Lads.
Young lads.
With these guys, they could get easily negged out, and most of them have got sensitive egos, right? They've got little sensitive egos, and if you make them feel bad, they'll go away and sulk, and then that'll affect their flying and their enjoyment for the rest of the show. And I know I've seen that happen. Excuse me, where I've seen how affected some pilots can get when the announcer is negative towards them. And I vowed I would never do that.
No fun.
No, I vowed I'd never do it. I'd never berate a pilot. We have a laugh with the pilots, but I will never make fun of the pilots. I will always have fun with the pilots. And I try hard to do that.
No, that's good.
Mostly it's live, so you make some mistakes.
You talk some shit. I remember when I had to fill in on the mic when you guys were at a dinner at Heli Master or 3D Masters, and then Timo came up and did, without a doubt, one
pilot
of the
number
most...
8.
I don't know, with one of the most unbelievable night flies ever. Like, no matter what he did, he couldn't crash. And he was like inches off the ground. And it was the first time I've ever seen sparks come off from the blade bolt scraping the asphalt. And we were just yelling at the top of our lungs. Like, we got sparks and stuff.
That was the flight that I was talking about.
Insane.
And I thought that was when I met you, but I obviously met you before that.
That was fun. That was awesome.
That
was cool.
That also has a negative impact on Timo, because Timo it was a TSA 600 he was flying, and he pulled the most badass flight out of his ass.
Yeah, you couldn't do that again. Right.
And of course that set him up for a little bit of a
creates a
class
standard.
ceiling.
It creates a standard.
And the next day he walks out, 10 seconds buries it. Remember that?
Yes, because the pressure all of a sudden.
Right.
All we were doing, and obviously when Bert and I trying to get back for dinner, the reason why we were late is because we went out for dinner. There was all the restaurants were full. We had to go to Burger King. Do you remember?
Yes,
we all sat in Burger King, and we're like, "Come on, we got to get back for the night flying. Got to get back for the night flying." And we tried to drive back, and we tried to get into the site, and there was traffic jams after traffic jams, so we had no choice. And you bless you stepped in.
It was crazy because it was next door to the.
Pretty much literally.
We could have walked there too.
Yeah, it was literally pretty much just down the road, wasn't it? So it was huge numbers trying to get into the night flying.
Right.
And then, and obviously we came in and we had a couple of adult sherbets, and that kind of
sherbets.
that kind of greased the wheels for the event, and it was beautiful weather as well. It was just absolutely great.
Nice. Well, that's.
So
cool.
we had the night flying with Timo, and it was a very, very special event. That was 2014.
No, that was a cool one. Okay.
2013.
So getting back to it. So you're a pimp. Right.
Well, no,
Right.
I slightly exaggerate.
No,
my
but
attention.
can you tell us a little bit about your job? Because I
Yeah.
find this very cool. And I find it kind of works into the announcing. I really think it does, and how you talk to people.
All right. Well,
So what do you do?
I've been around nightclubs, late license venues all my life. Okay, and I was in the early days. I was DJ, and then I progressed into nightclub management. And obviously, I say, been around security all my time. So I decided I wanted to get into teaching. Right, it's something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. And security teaching has always been my first point of call, because I wanted to make sure that I wanted to try and increase the standards within the security industry. So I did my teaching qualifications, and I did what I needed to do to start that. But then I started doing that for a few years, and then I got into sort of deeper security and counter surveillance.
To specify, security for events, security for VIPs, like what do you? What kind of security?
It's close protection and what you call bodyguards out here.
Okay.
So it's close protection, security guarding, CCTV. So I teach all of those disciplines.
Wow.
But I've also retrained over the last year to teach intruder alarms. And we call them hold-up alarms, intruder alarms.
Oh, wow.
So house alarms. So I teach the knowledge-based side of the technicality of fitting them, not the competence-based qualification. I teach the knowledge-based side of the qualification, which is an apprenticeship. So it's a year-long apprenticeship. It's a City and Guilds apprenticeship. So I have a cohort of 75 learners, a caseload of 75 learners, and each one of those learners are on, as I say, their 12-month program. And I'm centre manager of a centre, a technical training centre. So we have a workshop there with all the alarm panels up, and we have 2 big classrooms. And I have a different group in every single week, and we take them progressively through this process of their apprenticeship.
And you're a big dude yourself, so security kind of.
I've never had any complaints.
It kind of comes naturally. Well, you and Bert on the couch, but so I mean, security. So security, like, I bet you that just kind of came naturally, because I'm not messing with you. Are you kidding me? You're one big motherfucker.
I would not mess with him.
Well, it's not.
Well, actually, I
it's,
could.
It's not about
To live
power.
in America.
It's not about pay. A lot of people think because you're a big guy, it's not about that at all.
No, but it's the intimidation factor. Where if you're a VIP walking with you and another dude your size next to you, it's just easier to go find someone else.
You find VIPs and VVIPs prefer to have people who are civilians rather than military.
Right.
Traditionally, military, ex-military go into close protection and security services, but they're very fastidious. They're very time-driven. Everything's got to be everything's
Like
90
Optimus.
degrees. Yeah,
Like
it's-
Optimus.
as civilian security officers, we're more casual. We're more laid back. We blend in a little bit more. We don't have the same security detail as they have. They're very. I can't really use the word to explain it, but a lot of the ex-military guys are very, very militarized with their clients. We call them principals. So your principal don't like to be bullied. They don't like to be told what to do because they're the boss. They tell you. So you've got to preempt what they want. But at the same time, you've got to keep them safe. So you've got to think 5 or 6 spaces ahead or 5 or 6 minutes ahead always, because a threat could come at any time and from anywhere and from any angle, right? So you've got to think about it. You've got to have 360-degree spatial awareness. And it's really difficult to teach that. It's very difficult to teach that. It's like teaching somebody. You can teach somebody to hover, but they've got to understand how to pyroflip. You can't teach them how to pyroflip. Correct? You can't buddy box.
Yes, you
We
can
tried.
if you watch SmackTalk.
SmackTalk episode Learning 3D.
No. What I'm saying is they have, but they can take.
Flips.
There's videos of what
Sure.
we do, for what we do as learners, as educators. Videos out there to teach people what we do, but you can't do it that way. To do it properly, you have to teach them,
Dude,
and that
that's
has
cool.
to be a one-to-one thing. You just can't do it. You can't teach compassion. You can't teach compassion. You can't.
I just think it's so cool because
You
like
can't.
what you're talking about so much relates to what we were just talking about, like how you are on the mic. You get on the mic and it's not a psychological thing, but you have to keep that in mind. You don't want to go out there and give the pilot a bunch of shit. No one wants to listen to that.
No, they
So I
don't.
think it's cool.
Yeah,
and it's
they
very.
want-
I mean,
it has to be
and
kept on the
the
positive
cool thing
side,
about
yeah.
this hobby too. We were talking in episode 1. Like we've met so many cool people with so many different jobs outside the hobby. Yours is one. I've never met another quote unquote like bodyguard, personal protection sort of person. Like, and the stories you have, I'm sure you have some very cool ones.
Well, everybody asks. So many people ask me about stories like this, and you could, it's like saying to a fisherman, like, well, what's your biggest fish?
Right.
Oh, I once caught a fish. That big.
Right.
You could come up with all sorts of cockamamie kind of stories just to make you sound badass. But I don't like to talk about it so much. But at the end of the day, it's what I do, and it's successful. But it's all about presenting. It's all about presenting. At the end of the day, I'm standing in front of a classroom. I'm standing in front of a crowd. You've got to have the same sort of dynamics to your thought processes and how to do it.
Center of attention.
No. I don't like that. I really don't like that because.
But you like the eyeballs on you. You must.
I mean,
if
people
you were,
say, "Oh, you love the sound of your own voice," I don't. It's not.
It does sound nice, though. It really.
Thank you, but I don't like. I don't like the sound. It's not that I don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't mind the sound of my own voice. If I did mind, I wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But I don't like the sound of my own voice in an egotistical way. I really don't. And people say, "Oh, they try and blow smoke up your ass," and I don't like it. It's all about the pilots. I'm there to just announce for them. Okay, it's a byproduct that people hear you, they respect you, and they want to, say nice things about it. I totally agree with that, and I would do the same if I enjoyed it to that level. And people want to come along and speak to you and have selfies and sign and this, that, and the other, and you're happy to do that because it's people's appreciation for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
It is work. It is work, Nick.
It is,
It takes some work, absolutely.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
You try and you put anybody into doing this. This is why I have such an affinity with Daryl because, he had his style. I have my style, but there are only in the world, there are only a handful of people, really, who have had the kind of experiences of doing the announcing side as me and Daryl. There's Stefan Roosh in Germany. Mm-hmm. There's a few guys kind of dotted around who have done it, but there are not many. So me and Daryl kind of got on that way. We talked and we had chats about that because there ain't many other people you can have conversations about that with,
And like you said, it's work. It's not, you come to HB, sure, after hours you hang with people, you have fun, you go to dinner, you have some cocktails, sure. But during the day, it is work.
Hard work.
You could be sitting down and watching the flights or flying yourself and enjoying yourself. But instead, you're out there with a microphone just standing, especially during a 2-hour demo like we had yesterday. It is work.
Just you and
the hard work is trying to say something which is interesting to people and doesn't be offensive.
Sure. And I think a quick shout out to Mark Watkins here, one of our Torches Club members.
Well, again,
he does the announcing with you here at the OHB, and he's awesome. You two are great together.
Do you know what? I'm really pleased you brought that up because I was leading on to that, and because obviously here at the Blowout, D did come like last year. He booked his tickets, of course, to come this year, didn't he? Yeah. And I've said, as I said to Mark yesterday, and I was coming on to this. Mark Watkins. I've worked well with Mark for the last obviously the 4 years I've been here at the Blowout, and although I love doing what I do, the people don't want to hear me all the time. That's a fact. They don't want to just hear one voice.
It's good to have somebody to share.
Exactly.
And like you and I did together at you were just talking about this earlier in the episode during the 3D Masters. It always helps to have that other co-host.
Yes.
Because it takes some strain off of you. It allows you to come up with new ideas and be more creative about the commentating itself and bounce off ideas and become commentating and not just announcing.
Yes, and there's a difference.
Yeah, it's much more difficult to just be an announcer than it is to be an announcer and a commentator at the same time.
Exactly. You do need to have that variety to a degree. I mean, most of the shows I do on my own, okay? But, when I do get chance to go to the toilet. You go to the toilet, just go and have a break for a minute. Go and have a quick drink or just go to the toilet and do whatever you got to do. Just to have that break is good. It's really good because it gives me a chance to sort of just have a breather. But when you are talking to Mark over the microphone, I think having that conversation with Mark, and I'm asking Mark questions, and he's asking me questions.
Yeah, it works well. It works really well.
Yeah, it does. It just breaks it up a little bit.
We enjoy it.
It does break it up. But it's not something you can do with everybody because when you put a microphone, right, this is a strange thing that happens. When you put a microphone in front of somebody, they either do two things. They either focus or they fold.
Yeah, this is true.
It's true. When you put a microphone, especially if they know they've got 1,000 people in front of them.
And you know what? Mark is a sweetheart. I love him to death. He's like a very good personal friend of mine.
Yeah.
But he's he's never done any formal announcing like he's done here. But, he has his own band. He plays the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He's just very comfortable with himself. He's got a really good voice.
Yes,
And a very good knowledge of RC,
very good
too.
knowledge of RC, and that's a good combination. And he does really well. He loves it. He enjoys it.
Yeah, you guys do well together. I appreciate it.
The
That's
moment,
awesome.
the moment either myself or Mark, or the moment we stop enjoying, and I've said this, my mantra, everything that I've said to myself over the years, if I stop enjoying our event, commentating in RC events, the moment I stop that's the moment I give it up. Because the thing is, I don't need to do this, right? I don't rely on it.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I do because I enjoy doing it. So the moment I stop enjoying it is the moment I finish. It's as simple as that.
Well, I think that's a perfect sentence to end on there. I think we're just reaching our time here, and we actually got to get running.
Yeah, we got to go to
We have
dinner.
dinner reservations, so we're taking Nick to a Brazilian steakhouse, and he just said he just wanted a huge piece of steak,
Oh, we want lots of steak.
and this is all you can eat. So
on a
we're
quick
going
note,
there.
I feel I do want to say from the bottom of my heart how much love and respect that I have for Darryl Bell. Say I didn't know the guy so much personally, but I had bags of respect for him for what he did for the hobby, for me as inspiration, and also for the people who listened to him over the years. He was a great friend to many, many people. They had a lot of love and respect for him, and I did too. And when I learned of his passing, I was deeply shocked and saddened. And I just want to say, as I did mention on the mic yesterday, I was wanted to say something, because there are not many people like us in the industry. There's not many people who do the commentating side. So we did have an affinity. And when he passed away, very, very sad news. And I just wanted to say, to everybody listening out there, I'll try my very best to uphold his heritage of keeping things fun and having the pilot-centric attitude towards commentating. And that's what I learned from the legend, which is Big D, and God bless you and rest in peace, my friend.
That's nice of you, Nick. I did during the pilots meeting yesterday. I did a moment of silence for Big D, and also for one of our club members, Matt Lund, that we lost earlier this year due to some heart problems. But thanks for that. And
it just shows how real things is. Just shows how real things
You'll
is.
keep it nice. And Nick, from the bottom of my heart, I want to apologize for being an asshole.
Don't worry about it. In the bar
we made
after,
up
I
for
told
it.
you.
Oh, at the bar after we were.
what happened?
When I first met him. Where were you?
Oh,
Hello?
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
But we made it. See, we befriended in the bar. Of
Sure
course.
we did.
It wasn't the bar. It was in the parking lot.
No. Asshole in the parking lot, but friend in the bar. That's right. I remember that. That was
Yeah.
cool. That was good times. So, can you give everybody a quick? Where can they find you? How can people chat with you? Social
Yeah, how
media,
can they
all
reach
that
you?
stuff. All that stuff.
Well, I mean, Facebook, I suppose. I'm on WhatsApp and Twitter at Nick
No, but
Commentator.
it's Nick Nik Johnson.
Nik Johnson. Yeah,
Nick Johnson, the commentator.
Nick Johnson, the commentator
And,
on Facebook.
add him on Facebook, and once again, as always, we appreciate any feedback that you guys have on this podcast or whatever else that's available. iTunes.
You guys can reach us at
YouTube.
Facebook.com. Just look for SmackTalk RC.
Yep.
Look us up on our website, www.smacktalkrc.com. Look us up on iTunes. Search for SmackTalk RC Podcast.
Yeah, that's
And,
we're on YouTube. We'll probably keep these on YouTube. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
so if you're
sure, why
listening
not?
on YouTube, we decided to put it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And the best of luck with you guys, because you guys are always innovating, always
Thanks, dude.
looking for new angles, and always trying to help people and get people back into the hobby, or energize people to have a new lease of life for the hobby, because it is a hobby. It goes in peaks and troughs. We can't expect it to have a linear kind of curve. It's going to, there's things that are happening in the industry which are going to have an impact on it. But we've got to keep things alive, right? We've got to keep it going, because there's
doubt.
nothing like flying an RC helicopter. And I've done drones, helicopters, planes. I say I'm an instructor, my club, so I'm deeply involved with it. And there's still nothing that feels like an RC helicopter to fly. Nothing.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Well, thank you for coming and joining us, Nick.
Welcome. It's been my
Thanks, Nick.
pleasure.
We appreciate it. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the next event. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me. It's been a blast. 2006 OHB done.
2006.
Did I say 2006, 16? God damn, give us another one of those crowns,
Thank you for
please.
listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
We'll see you on the next
2016.
one.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.